Good evening, good afternoon, good late evening, whatever, early evening, and thank you for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about the fear of AI taking away jobs and huge impact that it may create for at least Indian IT. I'm joined by two very old friends. Lokesh, who's a health tech entrepreneur, has about 25 plus 30 years of experience in this. He's a policy, writes about policy, writes about governance, writes about trends, has published some books as well. And then, of course, Rajesh, who's almost was a colleague. We tried to hire him at one of our companies, but has a terrific career with large multinational branded companies, Microsoft, SAP, UiPath, and now does a fractional CMO type of role, advising companies and working with companies. So there's a lot of shared IT experience between three of us. And we thought Lokesh actually wrote a blog about the impact of AI on Indian IT and the job losses perhaps, and that set me thinking that since at Mitla Stack, which is our campus in Darbhanga, we are trying to build some headway with AI. Said, okay, let's talk about these job losses, and let's talk also about what can be done around these job losses. So I want to start a little bit by reading out a little poem that I wrote. It's a Jogira poem that we write in North India around Holi, right? So I wrote this poem around Holi time, and the words are like this. It said, "4 साल में degree पाई, 2 बरख में job, 1 साल में AI डायन करवाएगी सॉब, और सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर सोचे सीखूं जावा सैप, 90% कोड उगाले कर्सर को पायलट क्लाउड." So I presented AI as this giant that is going to eat away jobs, and the topic that we create was, is job, are the job fear real? So I'm going to give you some data which I use Grok to kind of do some search on this, and it turns out that we've had almost 80,000, 77,000 odd AI job or job losses in tech, job losses reported in 2025 in the first 6 months, mostly in tech, and all of them pointing out to reason being AI and AI productivity over human kind of resources. Amazon has announced, Microsoft has announced. Interestingly, I also saw that there are about 24,000 jobs in India that have been impacted, that have been kind of reported already. So let me start by asking Lokesh, job losses are real, right? You argued in your blog as well that this is going to create job losses. Tell us what your take is about job losses, and where do you come from on this particular topic?
Thanks, Arvind, for inviting us, and good evening to all. Basically, AI is not something is not something invented in 10 years. When we in 80s, when we're doing our engineering, we used to learn this. I will say the word artificial intelligence and expert systems, but there are different generations of those systems as we have seen. But what happened particularly in last decade or probably 10 to 12 years, that there is a fundamental shift has happened. Earlier we used to think AI is something which is sitting on tons of data, which we usually now say big data, and then we say it make decision based on that. But generative AI actually completely shift the paradigm, where we started looking at the cognitive skills within the software, if somebody say that within the computer or within iPad or within, so that's something which is a significant impact, and lot of people, which is particularly those, and I will quote some name like right now Microsoft AI president Suleiman Mustafa, for example. He is the person who actually founded a company which Google acquired at one point of time, then moved to Microsoft. And other people also, who are thick and thin of this revolution, particularly in last decade, that there is a significant shift is happening, and there is a revolution kind of thing which many people, author like Harari, Novel Harari, and all that, which is historically try to see the human evolution, say that this revolution is much more impactful than even industrial revolution. We see the industrial revolution is 18th century or even little before, or particularly 19th century. We have seen the impact of this on job and everything else. This generation or our generation might have seen the impact of computerization, as all three of us probably belong to that generation, and Avind is probably more senior to three of us. That at that time also there is a lot of fear about losing job. For example, the bank, the people in the bank says that their job will go automation and all those things. But actually, it didn't happen that way, the way we have thought, and that's what many people believe. I mean, the first reaction to my blog I received from my uncle, who is a IIT Roorkee, now is IIT. He is alumni of that, 80 years old, automobile engineer, and he says, Lokesh, no, you are wrong, and these things counts, and we calibrate, as a lot of people say that we are very good in recalibrating. But actually, my thought process is that the way I studied and learned, and particularly since this is the industry which is made me my the whole journey, and coming from a very humble background and middle class family, we reached up to a certain level. So it is a very close to that, and we realize that it is much more than this. And the reason is that at two fronts. One is the industrial revolution is a lot of about productivity gains, which is fine. Something labor is losing the advantage, you can say. But here it is not just labor. Labor, I mean the sweat, where you do something which you are doing by hand and machine was doing, and now computers are doing some of the things. But actually, this is more dangerous, or it is more astonishing that it has its own mind in a way, because generative AI is something which is can take decision. It is autonomous, or if I use the word omnipotent kind of thing. So that actually create a lot of fears. It is not only in IT industry but across.
So we'll get into some details, but maybe let's just bring in Rajesh here and see. Rajesh, any personal experiences you are having with AI losses, for example? Are you using AI in your day-to-day work? What's your take on this entire topic that we set up? How would you think about it?
Two things you asked, one about job losses and second personal experience. I think there are a lot of job losses around. However, it's sometimes hard for me to distinguish if it is solely because of AI. I think generally there is a lot of volatility in the job market. There is pressure on companies and startups, which were supposed to be, carriers and givers of jobs, for profitability and so on and so forth. And somewhere the overall economic growth has tapered after last 2-3 decades. What Lokesh mentioned, we saw. And what is valued in the job is very questionable today. I mean, like he said, we came from industrial era, which was all about automation, productivity, and so on and so forth. Then we came into the info tech-led era, computerization, so on and so forth. And suddenly the value of experience has vanished because the paradigm of what is useful, what is productive has changed. Some for good, some probably not for so good. Because whenever change happens, I've seen the pendulum goes the extreme. And then somewhere some semblance happens. The other thing is, for all things, including AI, I think the perception and everything is overblown versus what eventually happens. I mean, if I was running OpenAI and I have to catch media attention, I will say 80% jobs will go. Whether 80% will go or 70% will go or 20% will go, time will tell. I look at a simple analogy, and the other thing to me is that this is something which we cannot stop. Whatever we wish. I was reading, once you sent me these questions, a lot of trade unions are protesting. It's like, I will not let Uber come to my city. It's just a matter of time. You cannot stop. You cannot have your taxi union for too long. Right. Only benefit, only thing is that you probably align forces and you could change over. So
So
job losses are real. I think the fear is real. My sense is a lot of that is going to happen in the middle. See, the AI today is doing work which is largely average. I use a lot of AI in marketing. So content creation, summarization, creative, writing social posts, so on and so forth. But if I do it multiple times, it sort of maxes out. You can see and you can make out it's AI, lots of fancy words, but not a lot of meaning. So I think, at least at this point of time, human is not gone. But the other thing in my mind is majority of us are average. And we are in the middle. So those things are not the things which are about productivity, things which are about coordination, things which are more linear in nature, obviously will be easier to replicate. Things which are a little bit tricky, judgment, assessment will probably take more time. So a lot of middle is going to get hit for sure. See, the jobs which are not going to get it, and we'll probably come to that later. So I think to your question, I am seeing a lot of job losses. Hard to pinpoint. Is it solely AI? AI is a part of it. My work being in marketing, generative AI, content, summarization, predictive I'd seen. Predictive, of course, like he said, was stuck in this whole paradigm of getting your data right. Everybody wants a quick fruit. But if you don't have your data right, it doesn't give you that fruit, or the fruit is not sweet enough. So yes, I'll stop here so that we continue, and I'll come back later.
No, very interesting point you brought up about average, and a majority of us are average. But that's the threat, that majority of the workers are average, and this AI is actually better than average in many cases in terms of productivity. And of course, we've seen some people have moved very early, reduced jobs. Like Klarna was a very good example. They had to rehire those people, and CEO had to admit that we made a mistake. But in many areas, and fortunately, you are in a very creative area, marketing area, where obviously human creativity right now is at a different level. Content generation, maybe Gen AI is forte, but in programming, which is our tech area, we do see that now with Replit, and you see the success that Replit is having, the entire projects can be done with AI. So code generation definitely seems to be a risk area. I would say entry-level jobs, even basic jobs, anything which are around customer support jobs, anything which are around basic HR jobs, recruitment, all of them seem to be at risk, and that's where we are losing jobs at this point of time. So how to respond to that counter, that there is a threat that a lot of the average jobs will go away, and then if the specialist jobs come along, those are not as many as in number. And remember, we are in India, we have like what, 54 lakh, 5 million, 6 million kind of IT workers. So majority of them are doing average work. So there is a big threat on India as well. What do you say to that?
Me?
Yes, Rajesh, you start with you.
I can respond. See, if you look at the, my voice is echoing. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So I think if you look at the historical, he mentioned the case of the banks. There were strikes and so on and so forth. But has the number of jobs in banks gone down? I don't think so. Another analogy I see is, for example, construction business. When automation came, mixers and bulldozers and so on, so people thought jobs will go away. Jobs did. We started making bigger buildings. We started making bigger infrastructure. I think it's the middle part during transition which is super messy, because it hurts, it hits, and whatever we are used to as humans is very hard to change. We can talk in the seminar and so on and so forth, but in reality, your livelihood depends on it, your families depend on it. It's not so easy to learn new things. It's not so easy to get to those jobs. Even the people who are hiring, they don't know. Somebody flashes a degree, they hire them. So this middle part is messy. But my sense is that it is two sides. One, the positive side is that productivity will go up. Newer things which we are not doing today will open up. Actually, the need to learn a lot of code will probably go down, because machine is learning our language versus us learning machine's language now. Right? But the type of things they will do will change. So the task mix will change versus the job. right now job is equal to certain set of tasks. A lot of those tasks will go away, so newer tasks will come, and that will take some time. I think that is one thing, that is going to happen. So, and the other side is that in the meanwhile, or if the doomsday thing comes true, then the productivity will definitely go up, but jobs will go down. So then there is, what are the guardrails around it at a social or at a governmental level? I mean, some of the countries are talking about universal income and to protect people's livelihood and lives and so on and so forth. I mean, those are, I don't know, in the purview of this, but those are the other conversations happening, and some Nordic countries are trying. In India also, there were some papers presented, etc., on that concept. I think at some level, pensions and money transfers that we did with the COVID time period, is an indicator. So is it going to change the distribution of wealth in the society? And therefore the governments need to look at it differently and try to, create some equity and way to carry the society or the community forward. I mean, those are some of the other questions that need to come. But challenge is the technology is running so far ahead of the governments. They'll take like really long to figure this out.
Yes, yes. But let's bring in, I think Lokesh, because he did write about the productivity change, and he said, I mean, in his blog, he talked about an average revenue per user or per engineer in India going up, but the number of jobs coming down. And there's another aspect, and this is Mark Anderson saying that the biggest advantage of AI is going to be reduction of cost across the board, right? Everything goes very low, or the cost or cheapness, or becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper at that time. So Lokesh, in your analysis, when you see that the productivity might go up to $66,000 from $47,000 right now, and the volume comes down, but if companies have to then price everything very low, I mean, how does the new economic model look like for you? I mean, what's going to happen?
See, I mean, what is going to happen is that I said in the blog that right now it's a headcount based revenue, most of it. I mean, fixed cost project we have been doing for last 20 years. That is fine, but that is a very small percentage. Mostly it is like legacy system. For example, I take one stream of application management, bespoke applications and all that, or infrastructure management, for example. There is a cost raised to the head, so per person revenue. Now, as it was earlier before the AI, that it is an outcome based pricing. IT services company, Indian IT services company, are already feeling the heat from low discretionary budget and those kind of things. So the pricing per unit is already getting down. So as I quote one of the SCL CEO, he says that I want to challenge my team, doubling the revenue from the same size of the team. So basically, if average revenue per person is around 47,000 US dollars, then he might target for 90, for example. I mean, that is something is touching the roof, but the idea is that when you want to touch the roof, at least touch the table. So that's the whole idea. But I don't think that when the cost will down, probably it is less with the more paradigm, where client will say, you have AI tool, or I will tell you, these are the AI tools I am using. These are the AI agents, and these agents can even work in a collaborative manner, like a collaborative workflow. So, instead of 10 person job, it is a 1 person job, or even half of it. So that cost benefit pass to, not all of it, because it's not a, meant to, per head count overall equation, because they say, as the deal is structured in a very different way, not just headcount based, but deployment of the resources happened that way. There's a very interesting question. In fact, I was, when I was writing the blog, I was talking to one of the vice president of very Indian IT giant. I said, how you work with this, for example, application space? He said, it cannot be done. I said, why? He said, look, I mean, there is a 15 legacy application. There is a one person know only one application, because there is no skill set available. So what I'll do? There is a FTE full-time engineer type of thing, where you say, in support situation, there is only one ticket in a year, but that guy is billing 30 lakhs to the company in a year. So how that will do? But I think the tools which is coming in AI is actually try to address those issues also. One is that, as we say, KT, knowledge transfer phase of these legacy applications, that would be very short now because, the documentation, lot of, understanding those things AI will take care of this. And secondly, migration of this application would be much easier because you have code generation frameworks, you have other low code, platforms where you can migrate those applications very easily. So coming back to your question is, I don't think that cost of the IT will go down in a way if you measure in terms of revenue realization per person. What would happen if, as I see it, as if I look at the Indian services company, is that they will have less people, but their revenue will increase. The reason is that AI also creating a lot of market. There's a lot of work need to be done. I mean, we always think AI as a, somebody is working in, creating LLM. No, not really. There is a lot of work is creating a lot of AI agents, which in simple term could be application actually. So there is a lot of work that is happening. My another submission is, which is probably, your next question could be, it is not just IT specific. AI is a technology which is every damn field is going to happen. And 3 days back, I was telling to my daughter, who is a surgeon, I tried to impress upon that start using AI and the Galaxy, this, that. So she's not listening. I mean, kids usually don't do, but you try to impress upon them to different logic. So the logic which works with her is, I said, look, when computerization happened in our lifetime in the beginning, we used to teach people even typing on keyboard. People started from this. Today, computerization is a given skill. It doesn't matter you are an engineer, you are an accountant, you are a doctor, but computer is still given. I think AI is going to be that way. That every damn thing you going to be using UI in one way or the other.
Yeah, most likely. And so let's talk a little bit about okay, how are people coping up with this threat or, this impending, doomsday, for example. And we hear a lot about, oh, you should do retraining, reskilling, you should be adaptable, you should be collaborative. But I don't hear specifics. Okay, what kind of training are you really going to do? What should, supposing there's a young student on our call right now who's just getting into engineering or getting into MBA, or there are people who have just started their jobs, how should they train themselves? What should they really do? Is it about learning tools? Is it about learning processes? Is it about learning creativity? Where are we coming from, in terms of, what kind of specific reskilling? I mean, maybe Rajesh, you can give us some sense, and you deal with a lot of top leaders, top management level. What is the top management thinking on this reskilling, retooling? And I know Infosys announced one fine day that, oh, we've trained 5 lakh people for AI. I don't know how did they do that, but details were provided. But what kind of training will really let you survive and thrive in this new age?
So I think I would say, let me break it up into 2 or 3 levels. I would say if you're a student, learn your basics in this area. I think Python is almost essential. All students should probably have it. Learning all the data structures, algorithms in this area, brushing up your technical skills, machine learning, natural language processing, deep learning. And if you're in that area, that's going to be the basics of this. So they better learn it. Now is the time, and for them, my thought is, rather than looking at it as a big trouble, which it probably is, the way to look at it is how to ride the tiger. Now that it's here, how do I ride it? Even if I don't know, make a sincere, best possible effort to do so. I mean, I have my example when I started, I think, 10 years ago, digital marketing. Everybody said marketing is going to be, dying. Only digital will happen. So, and fair enough. Me and my team got together and we said, "Acha, abhi kya karna?" So, ye to aa gaya abhi. So, jahan se shuru hota, shuru karo, like it's that typing. And see, the beauty of when you start early is that actually nobody knows enough. Once you've done little bit, you are also people who have already started and learning. See, even what to learn is getting evolving. Most of the things we learned, people were doing for ages, decades. They wrote books, they made theories, they made stuff. This stuff is getting invented every day. So there is no one truth. What I learned 6 months ago is not relevant. The question I asked ChatGPT or Gemini 6 months ago and I asked today is different. The answer I get is different. Right. So I think get started. If you're in that area, learn the technical skills that will equip you, but get started. If you are in the middle, I think most important thing is to fight the inertia to say this is not real or it is for somebody else. Get some AI literacy. And again, you may not learn AI exactly, but at least read about it. Figure out where it is going to impact your domain. If you're in banking, what is going to happen? If you're in manufacturing, what is going to happen? In manufacturing, if you're in operations, or if you are in actual, production planning, or you are in, warehouse management, where exactly it's going to hit? What is going to happen? So even if you are not the AI expert, you are somebody who can use AI. Like they say, people will not use to AI. People will lose to people who know AI. Right? Somebody still will be required, maybe lesser number. So that is the sort of second thing. Third, I think industrial area, like he said, had very structured jobs. Then gradually some areas started merging. AI is especially with Gen AI and predictive coming together, it's probably going to run across. So knowing outside your area, and if there's an opportunity relating to tech or AI, picking up and working on projects which are cross-functional, cross the organization, cross-business, will be very, very useful for people in the middle. Right? For people who are in the senior level, I would say, and I've seen this personally, even when the digital transformation, all of that come, everyone said, "Mujhe bata do kya karna hai." So I think it is no longer an aid. It is going to be the core of the business. Like, every business that become technology business, every business is going to be AI business. So actually making effort to learn it, figure it out is going to be critical because you can't teach others what you don't know. So I think knowing it, and everyone's take is different. Somebody who's starting their career will learn AI very differently. Somebody who has 30, 40 years of experience, when they look at AI, they will see a very different set of possibilities, what they can do with it. So it's not about using it for efficiency, but using it to think completely new what needs to be done. Because early days, everybody will be, I am using some AI. But what is it that we can do which was not possible before? And I think the senior management and senior people leading the companies are in a position to do that. So in some sense, as they say, it is a leadership test for them, how they are going to lead their business out of it. And to your point, not only skilling, but skilling at scale. Because this is going to touch almost every function, every person in the company, right? From admin staff to coordination staff to planning, operations. So what skill is appropriate for whom? How do you do it? How do you do it at scale? How do you encourage people to do it? And there are definitely going to be job losses. There is going to be hurt problems. How do you tackle it so that you don't demoralize everyone in the organization? So it's quite a complex challenge. And last but not the least is this is a beast which we don't know fully yet. I mean, we know risks of hallucination. So the risks of bias, risks of ethics, risks of knowingly or unknowingly violating legal norms, cross-country regulations. All of those are huge risks for business. And that is the job of the senior leadership to figure out. So it's almost like a crisis management mode at every level you have to figure out, and people I think who will take early action will probably be on the better side of it. Not become a Kodak in the area of digital camera. I'm not able to hear you for some reason.
Hello.
Sorry. So I just put myself on mute. But I hear you, and I know that since I work a lot with startups, that we have thousands of AI startups in India. In fact, in many because India is right at the top in terms of AI adoption, with AI potential. that we can see. Uh, Given all of that, maybe, and since you raised the issue about Indian IT services companies, GCC companies, Lokesh, uh, what are you seeing? How are these companies preparing themselves for the change? I mean, how does the GCC, the new GCC, look like with AI? How does the Indian IT services look like with AI? The higher productivity, smaller curves. I mean, many of these companies have large real estate footprint. Where do you see this going, actually?
See, I will start with one quote from Laurie Ellison, Oracle Laurie Ellison, founder of Oracle. His biography is called Software. I read 15 years ago, and he said very particular thing. I think that's very relevant all the time in technology world. He said, information technology industry, IT industry is a fashion industry. If you are not talking about the latest, you are out of it. So I take the lead from there and I say, first of all, if these companies do not talk about AI 24/7, they are not in business, first of all. So they need to talk a lot. And, I worked in SCL, and one of the, very successful, become the president, used to say when he built a one company that I need a suit and a presentation about any product. We will build the product later. That kind of thing. So, probably, a mix of this, but without building the capability, nothing will happen. You can sell it, but you have to deliver. So, what I am, particularly learning from my different sources is IT companies is, large IT company already have, education department in a very big way, where they are continuously train people. In fact, they, even at my time, 15 years ago, they used to conduct exam even to qualify for different level. So I think AI is also doing this. GCC Global Capability Center, which is MNC has set up in India, and they are very significant job creator today. There is 1,800, I am told, and they are hiring more freshers than IT Indian IT companies. They actually, some of the example I learned is that Berkeley actually set up a AI academy within their organization. Intuit did the similar thing. SAP Lab obviously is a innovative, something. They are doing this kind of thing because GCC initially was for application support and maintenance, that kind of thing, but eventually they are moving towards more up in the value chain and doing little more innovation, company to company vary, but they are heading this. So they are doing, basically training, reskilling the manpower. But statistics tell very different thing. Even today, there is only 3% AI trained manpower is available in India. That is something which is opportunity for youngsters actually. One figure I got it that there was only 150,000 jobs, and there is only 50,000 people available. And around 1/3 of people, are not, available, which is ready-made job available for them in AI. So there is a lot of, gap. But remember, this gap was also earlier when we used to say the engineers are not employable and those kind of stories. But AI is particularly is more because I think in different line of business in IT companies, the impact will be slightly different, as I can gather and I can sense it. There is no written in the hard and stone, but this is my based on my experience and talking to the people is the least I think impact of IT in near to medium term would be in package world, SAP, Oracle implementation, those kind of things. First of all, there is a business process involved. Second thing is there is a proprietary, systems and all those kind of things. And these companies, SAP and Oracle, are doing very well in this. The most effective line of business would be application management and infrastructure management. Basically, the task which is repeating. I just want to add, which Rajesh, said that other than the average skill, there is a repetitive nature of task is also impacted heavily by AI, because if something can be set by the rules and then you can repeat again, then human is not required actually. And there are a lot of jobs in IT, particularly bespoke application, maintenance, infrastructure management, which will go. The another thing which we have not yet touched upon is IT enabled services, BPO and all that. I quote one example is that $1 billion means 50,000 jobs. Now there is a 12,000 jobs, for example. I mean that could be the extreme figure because I still cannot digest that it could be that low. I think BPO, KPO, those kind of industries going to be much higher impacted than this. So, overall, I will say that impact will vary, but they certainly impact. But there is a inertia within the organization where the middle management think, oh no, it is another set of technology. It is like Oracle. When I entered the industry, Oracle 5.0, and within 1 year 6.0, I was saying, oh, I have not learned enough even 5.0 yet. So, those people in the middle layer of IT company probably think that way. Even, they are not very sure, but this is the way their major thinking is. At the top management, yes, they think that these are opportunities also. It's a risk also because, there is a prediction that 30% of the business will derive from AI. So if they don't move faster in this, so there is a significant risk. So top management, I think, understand that what are the market dynamics is. They are pushing very hard. They are pushing for talent because talent is not available. Our universities, we know how they are doing. If we exclude the tier 1 university colleges, there is a huge gap, as we all know. So, there is a different families, middle class families, particularly I want to bring that topic and I touch upon in my blog is, see, it is a job enabler. Somebody says one IT job creates 5 jobs equivalent to manufacturing industry. So impact is very, very huge. So families are worried. The engineering graduates are worried. The graduates are worried who are looking for career in IT. So it's a very, very different kind of thing. I think this kind of webinar which you hosted, these kind of things talk to be more with the students, with the faculty, with the other stakeholders to actually know. See, there is not going to be mayhem suddenly in India. It's not be a tsunami there, but there is at the same time maybe little contradictory that we need to act as a mission critical level. I just end my thought on this with a giving example of China. What China did is 2018 is that they introduced AI into primary schools, and in 2020 there's 180 universities running AI courses. I mean, where we are, look at this. So that's where there is a huge gap. It is not just related to AI, but other places also.
Great point about BPO and ITS getting impacted, especially calling agents and things like that, support services as well. I remember there was a World Economic Forum report which said that 25-30% of all these jobs are going to be impacted. And India, of course, sits on the top of this food chain, but so does the rest of the world. So as you see these job losses and as you see the new opportunities that are coming along, are you seeing that, India is the only or the worst sufferer, or do you think in Europe, in Southeast Asia, in Latin America, we'll see similar kind of problems? And then if there are problems globally, then what are the new places or what are the new areas where India could participate in or India could aspire for? And I hear you point that, as a policy or as execution, we are far behind China in terms of, propagating AI down into the colleges, universities, and schools. We are still kind of struggling with the language issues, for example, on language products. But how do you see the global impact? Is India the only worst impacted, or you see that the rest of the world also, Europe and other places also have an impact? Lokesh?
Okay. See, look, I think everybody is going to impact. Depends where in the value chain of AI you stand. For example, America and China, because these are the two world leaders in AI technology. So when someone look at it at that level, the challenges would be very different than the challenges particularly for India, because India is a service provider kind of situation, while these people are innovating. So we are almost at the, I got a blog a month, 2 months ago, that have we missed the AI bus? Certainly we did in last 10 years. There's no doubt about it. So, we are going to become, I mean, look at in January, the Microsoft Nadella come in Bombay for roadshow and all that. He said, look, I mean, there is a huge opportunity for Indians. When he says that, basically he's saying that there is a lot of opportunity to use these companies' platforms, not innovating. In fact, he said it doesn't make sense for India to innovate AI, which I completely, disagree due to a lot of reasons. So, what is going to happen is that there is in terms of geography, India would be impacted in terms, because, today, IT export almost contribute 10% of our total GDP. So it is a huge impact of the economy, because in one hand we have 70 lakhs IT professionals, but they are creating crores of jobs. I mean, crores means 1.5, 1.2, depending on how you see it, from retail to real estate to everything. Even real estate is one of the sufferers. The job losses if it happen in major way. So in that terms, India will be affected, other countries will be affected, but the impact will be different. For example, just very quickly, when someone says, there would be in 5 years, low entry-level job will vanish. Probably that guy is saying from American point of view, because those companies write so much code, because they don't maintain the system like we do. Our IT services company, I think majority of the revenue, if I'm right, particularly top companies I know, is maintenance and those kind of things. Those jobs are not going away suddenly, because those jobs, however repetitive is, but it will take time, because as Rajesh mentioned about the change is gradual. So there is a lot of change management going to happen at that level. So I think India will be impacted more, because India dependent on jobs on IT is more.
So I'm coming to the same thing. Yes, Rajesh, sorry, you wanted to say something, but before you do that, I'm going to put one more thought into your head. That traditionally we've not been very innovative and product oriented. We've been mostly service oriented, right? So within that service business, then seems to be that India is going to have more opportunity to do services, because maybe the innovation will happen somewhere else. The quality of services may go down, the complexity of services may change, but our position as the service people, to go to the people, go to India for services, that doesn't change much. Keep that in mind as you kind of lay out your thoughts on this.
This is for me, right?
No, Rajesh.
No, so I'll give it back to you shortly. See, there, like he said, I'll build on what he said. There are two levels. One is leading the way, which clearly at this point of time is split between US and China. Everybody else is far behind. That includes us.
Correct.
Other is people who are going to possibly help deliver it or help make it happen. So I think India continues to have a lot of advantages. Our labor costs are still on the lower side. We have a fairly large young population, which most of the Western countries or even Japan-like countries don't have. You don't expect somebody over, in that age band to learn these skills and, start working. Right? So I think our demographic dividend of young, tech-savvy, relatively lower cost people is an advantage for us. Right? And this is going to overall, like he mentioned, expand a lot of jobs as well. I mean, look at the size of data centers that was 10 years ago and data centers that we are talking about.
Sure.
Somebody's going to have to maintain that. The amount of power consumption, amount of chips that we are talking about, and the amount of, it's like automation does not mean same amount of things get done. The overall pie becomes significantly large. So things that you are going to code for now is going to multiply, right? And it's not super clear how exactly. I mean, there will be AI, what they call AI fluent jobs, prompt engineering, AI management, AI product management, etc., etc. But a lot of these downstream jobs are going to get generated as well, right? Because I think the what is not so clear but is going to emerge is what will be nature of these jobs. They are going to probably not look like software coding, customer support, phone call jobs. They are probably going to be, managing that whole value chain and delivering that end outcome using all of these technologies. So I think it's like I said earlier, I think the transition period is going to be super messy. Everybody is going to posture. The leaders, the followers, every company, like he said, will have to make a statement because otherwise they'll be out of business. But they do really know it. I mean, look at anything. We said computers when? How long did it take to become a household thing? We said digital transformation. We've been singing that tune for like 20 years. How many companies have actually digitally transformed and how much? So this is also, nothing is as easy as it looks in the newspapers. Sensationalization is the fodder for getting people excited and sell newspapers and, social media content. But doing it actually isn't that easy or that fast.
Well put. Even AI itself, when Marvin Minsky talked about AI is 1960s, so it's taken some time.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that we have some time for questions, and we'll, open. You can put it in the chat box or the Q&A. We'll take up your questions. But I think Lokesh, you wanted to just say something, so please go ahead and complete your thought, and then we'll see if there are any questions.
I think there is a need to, I think touch upon the skilling part of it. I think our university have to move very, very fast. Another thing I will probably say, assuming that there is a youngster who is listening to this conversation, that what we should do. Actually, the first thing I will say, it's look like a lot of yarn, but I think you have to take care of your career in your hand. Not assume that you will get admission into a college by entrance exam or by your father into some private universities. But you have to have the skill. Now, in going forward, there would be no free lunches where your college is big university which is graduating in 80,000, 50,000 graduates, engineering graduates in a year, will get you job because a lot of people require this. I think that's going to change, and that's going to affect non-computer science, non-IT branches even more, because people, the company would be looking for the skill. So the way to acquire these skill is whether either your colleges, universities imparted to you, or you do it yourself. I remember in my times, my mechanical course mate used to learn languages at that point of time. C language, for example, COBOL even example, because they think that I'm not from a Taiwan industry like our friend Arvind is. So those people think that IT we can get a job by learning programming, for example. So similarly, I think the student need to build their career, not just looking at the degree as a passport to get a job. I think that's going to be normed by AI. AI would be a two level. One is as a generic technology like computerization, mobile, digital world, and everything else. Another one is the core skill in your area, which may be in IT, non-IT, but you must be developing that. So you have to take charge in terms of, you may not get just job because you have a degree in hand.
So there is one question, but I'm not sure I understood it. It says ML is advanced. Come to AI how? So, I think he's talking about how machine learning links into AI or how machine learning is part of AI. Technical topic, but Lokesh, you want to do that? Or
can you repeat what he's asking?
ML is advanced, come to AI. I am not sure I understand the intent of the question here, exactly what the intent is. But yeah, machine learning is definitely a core part of AI right now. But AI is much broader than machine learning.
Right. I think there is a lot of, I will just say that, machine learning is not something which is mechanical in a way. If somebody is getting that feel, I'm sorry if I missed the point. It is actually, I will suggest that there is a lot of online courses available by Government of India also. Some of the, SWAM, for example, the SWAM portal by IIT. There is another couple of things. In fact, there is a free tools available from Google, Colab, I think. So I think these people build basic understanding of the AI at the first level. So in terms of machine learning language, I think the machine level language plus neural network processing, which is basically the concept is that there is a lot of networks of data, which actually these languages interpret and actually come up with a answer. So those is a very, very specialized subject to me that they should learn about it. And I think there is a lot of free courses available at the internet by the companies also. And I think their colleges should also do this. I think there is a tons of information available on the net to understand this. I'm probably never worked on a machine level language, so I cannot explain more than that.
Thank you. I think there is another comment that soon BPO and KPO is going to get impacted by AI quite a bit, and especially those who are just using scripts, for example. Maybe we can, try to close this because I wanted to end at 6 o'clock. Rajesh has to leave somewhere. So, Rajesh, in terms of, summary, I remember one of the things that in the blog Lokesh mentions is that, in the early 1980s when you got married, you were a computer science engineer. Your father-in-law was going to ask you, what the hell do you do? I mean, why should I give you my daughter? For an AI engineer or for a new non-AI engineer, is the threat of not getting married real as well? How do you respond to that? If you don't know AI,
actually, So I'm just going to say that maybe AI is just adding to the level of uncertainty, right? And I think in that environment, related, not exactly the same, it's actually becoming more important to have a partner who's also working, at least one person has a job, and have family support around you. If you read some of the text or some of the thinking that is going, I think the need for family support, going back to family, larger families, is probably going to get more important. Because this uncertainty, there is no way you can tackle it.
Lokesh,
so you better have two families and a partner supporting you.
Arvind sir, there is a question by Amarnath.
Where is this? I'm not seeing it. On the chat or is he on the Q&A?
Q&A, sir.
Where is the question? I'm not seeing the question.
Please scroll down, sir.
Okay.
After
read it, yeah.
After the BPO, can you read it?
I think soon BPO and KPO.
That we talked about. Yeah, Aditya, we took that up. We talked about. So we agree. I mean, it's going to be a big impact. But let's just wind up and give the ball to Lokesh. Lokesh, AI engineers, do they have the same marriage problem that you had?
I mean, I didn't have it because she was my girlfriend and she's not going to listen to that. So I think youngster will do the same.
Very nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We had a very interesting conversation. I think we will record it and put it on our channel. One of the things we are doing is working in education because we think that AI can improve the quality of education quite a bit. So maybe we'll do another webinar and hopefully talk about both, the using AI to learn better and then using AI to kind of do educational tasks better. And, we have two startups that I've been mentoring, both of them looking very good on the educational side. So you'll see that, education will get impacted significantly. And although the teaching capacities other than the tier 1 universities is a little bit of a challenge, I think that will be supplemented by AI to some extent. So I think as usual, we stay hopeful about the future for India. We have the young population, as Rajesh is saying, and hopefully, that young population can continue to serve the world. So thank you once again for joining me.
We are survivors. We are survivors. We will thrive.
Yeah. And, if you have to fall back on families, we are not yet that distributed on the family side. So we should be able to get back to that. Thank you so much, Lokesh. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, hosting. Thanks, Rajesh.
Aditya, thanks for the coordination. Thanks, Aditya. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.